Boruto episode 21, Sasuke and Sarada. Now this episode mostly focuses on, of course, Sasuke and Sarada, but it really tells the story. It's mostly about Sasuke more than anything else. It's just the result of Sasuke as a human being, pretty much, is what incorporates naturally his own daughter. So I like the way they go about it. We get the story of we kind of had the story already, but why Sasuke left the village, but the main kind of focus for him as far as staying outside of the village is not only is there a crazy grand enemy that could possibly make a return, or someone else in league with Kaguya could make a return, but also with me being or having formerly been like this scrappy person in the village, I kind of want to stay away and let that idea of the worst part of me, or that worst version of me that the village knows, I want that to sort of dissipate. And Naruto even says that's in the past. Like, we got kids now. Like, that's already, that's been said and done. People are okay with you. Like, it's fine now. So, he still kind of feels that way. So that's kind of why he stays away. And the reason they don't really explain everything to Sarada is because of that horrible image that he used to have when he was an enemy of the village, where it's like, he used to be basically captured or killed on sight. And that was a huge chunk of the story of Shippuden when he was on the run. It was like, yeah, 5 Kage Summit, all that stuff is just like, he is like enemy of the planet right now. So he had some dark times, and they didn't really want to kind of bring that stuff up to their daughter. They wanted him to just be a great father, even though he was like the invisible father, because of course he was never there. So it's almost like, what does it matter what stories you tell if he's not around? But I guess that kind of makes sense. It's like, you can't, you tell the worst stories about someone who's not even there. You definitely stick with the worst part of it, I guess. But I thought it was cool that they explained that. Of course, we have the characters coming up against the main villain again, and then Shin, the multiple Shin clones. So I was like, all right, this is pretty nice. I like the decent amount of action. They make a pretty awesome reference to the fact that Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura are like insanely powerful. They're like basically OP, because he gets they go through their whole fight and stuff. The main enemy, who they may have said the name of, I don't remember, but they talk about like his ability and stuff, and his eye ability, which he was like, it's almost as good as yours, or it's like better than yours. I'm like, Sasuke can like do some impossible things. Like, he can like move some blades around. I'm like, Sasuke would like, no, it's not as cool as Sasuke's eye. But he can manipulate people's weapons. He can like mark them, kind of like Minato would do, where he'd mark people to teleport to him. He can do that. The enemy can do that with weapons. So when he grabs Sasuke's blade, he manipulates it, and he uses that as Sasuke is about to leave, like the Kurama cloak. He's about to go attack the enemies, and then he just uses the eye, his eye power, to throw the blade backwards and stab through Naruto. But after everything's all said and done, which is really cool, because Sakura comes into the end of the fight and just punches the crap out of him, and she just takes everybody down. After all that's said and done, Sakura's like, who are these people? Like, what's going on? And Naruto is just like, he pulls the blade out, and Sakura's like, are you cool? He's like, yeah, I'll be fine in a sec. And she's like, what is he talking? Like, how is he gonna be fine? Like, he got ran through with a blade, and of course he's got the nine-tailed fox, so he just healed right up. And it's just like, what the F is happening? Like, how is this a thing with all these abilities and stuff? So it's kind of funny, they sort of reference like their OP state, where they can just whatever. I mean, he got ran through, and it was just like, I'll be fine, no big deal. Like, it just heals everything. So I like that little moment. Chocho was still really funny in this, mostly in the beginning. Once the enemy came in and they of course went into like the main story, she didn't have as much to do, because it was mostly like, most of her scenes really, I felt like it was just her saying, I don't like situations like this, or I'm not good at situations like this. But she, of course, when she saw Sasuke, said he was super handsome, and then put his hand on her forehead. But she does try to help out a little. She gives him some chips and is like, use these to make up his honor and stuff. So I was like, okay, she's cool. Still had a little funny moment in there. But I like the action. We get to see Naruto use his cloak again. I love the way it starts up when he blocks the blades, and it's basically like 3 tails come out, and they're in like a little swirl. I was like, I really like that. I thought that looked really cool. So nice way to start that off. I was hoping that Sasuke would do, would just go like, crazy with it and just armor up, but it wasn't in the manga, so they didn't do it here. I just was like, man, that would have been kind of cool, but it's one of those things where it's like, it was done in the manga and it's the same sort of deal. I'm not sure if the fight went, I'm assuming it went exactly the same. It's been, like I say this every time, but it's been years, so I don't remember everything that happened, even some of the story elements I can't remember. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they, you know, if he'd done that, especially like when he went to protect Sadara, I was like, well, if he'd done it there, it would have just been like, boom, they would have bounced right off his back. But you gotta have those moments where it's like, oh no, something bad is happening here, and you know they're almost getting taken out, that sort of thing. So that allows for that epic reveal of Sakura too. So still a cool moment. You know, watching them go through the fight, Sakura showing up, everything seems to be fine, and then the little weird, it's almost like a little mini Zetsu Uchiha. It's right next to Sadara. So the guy, he wakes up, he teleports himself and Shin. He basically rips apart the arms, the cloak arms, so that they can teleport. And then he tries to grab Sadara. And of course Sakura pushes her out of the way, so she gets teleported in, and then she's surrounded by Shin. So we're going into the next episode with that ending, and they're bringing in Team Taka, which should be pretty cool. We get to see Orochimaru again, Suigetsu, Jugo and Karin, so that'll be pretty awesome just to see their characters and fully animated and stuff in the older version. So that'll be pretty awesome to see. And then if I remember right from the images that we saw with Sakura talking to the main villain and stuff, I believe this is where we start to get that character's official backstory and exactly how how are a bunch of random Uchiha suddenly about with a bunch of eyes, and where did all these Sharingan eyes come from, that sort of thing. I believe that does get explained officially in the next episode, or at least the beginning of said explanation, I believe, starts in the next episode. So we can look forward to that, because that's one of the big things I'm like, I really don't remember. So I'm kind of happy I don't remember, because I'm like, man, what was the reason? Like, how did they come about? I just don't remember. So I'm excited to go through that again. It's like, learning it all over, and it's like, oh yeah, that'll, be like a nice little refresher for that whole story. So looking forward to that, because I really can't remember. All I remember is like, I remember how the story ends, but I don't remember like some of the big questions, and mostly related to the villain. But I remember like all the other story elements and exactly how it plays out. I just don't remember how the villain ultimately came up. So that's like the one question that I have. Everything else I'm like, yep, I remember this, I remember that, I remember how this fight even goes, like certain elements, I remember the fights. And then it's just like that one thing with the villain is like, I don't remember how they came to be. So looking forward to that in the next episode. But I thought this was a decent one. It was fairly concise as far as locations and stuff. I mean, we had mostly them in front of like the place that they met. It was like inside where Sasuke finally met Sarada, and then outside of that was most of the episode. And then there was like 2 scenes at the hospital with Shizune and Sakura, and one when they're actually talking, and the second is when Shizune comes in and realizes Sakura left. And then there's the flashback with Naruto and Sasuke, and then technically at the very end, for like the last 10 seconds or something, after Sakura gets transported, we're in the new location where the enemy's base is. But for the most part, it was very concise. It was like, here we are, these couple of characters, like it's like it's Sarada's story arc from the manga, so there really weren't that many people involved. So I kind of liked how it was so compact. They didn't even walk. It wasn't like the last episode where they were traveling and stuff. It was just like, nope, we are pretty much just here explaining the story. Locations come in due to flashbacks and stuff like that, but mostly it was like, nope, we're right here, and that's pretty much it. And I just thought that was kind of cool, because that's not something that typically happens in Naruto. Outside of, like, oh, we're fighting, so we're in this specific location for a couple of episodes. This was like, the fight wasn't there until like halfway through the episode. It was like they were still just talking about stuff, and they were mostly there. So for some reason that kind of stood out to me. It was like, all right, I kind of like that. They don't really go anywhere. It's just like we're in this one location, kind of going through. It was like the exposition sort of episode, and they didn't have anywhere to really go. But that was pretty much what it was. And for some reason that just stood out to me. It was like, I kind of like the fact that it was almost minimalist as far as like where they're located and stuff like that. There's not a ton of people. It was like 5 or 6 characters total, not counting like the multiple versions of the clones. And I just thought that was actually kind of cool. So pretty fun episode. Definitely looking forward to the next one. Getting to see Team Taka come back, Orochimaru come back, just all that stuff. And there's another character that's going to come back as well, if I'm remembering correctly, with Orochimaru and the whole group being reintroduced. So I'm looking forward to that, even though it's a very, very tiny moment. I'm just curious if they'll expand on it or something. But I would love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I would definitely love to know what you guys think is happening, especially for people who, of course, don't know the story. I would love to know your theories on where the Uchiha came from. And if you don't remember like me, then throw out your guesses, because I really can't remember at all. And I can't really say anything as far as my guesses, because it would include spoilers for like the little bit that I do remember, so I won't bother doing that myself. But we'd love to know your theories on where you think these new Uchiha have come from. The clones, we have our main villain trying to bring back the Akatsuki and stuff like that. So definitely some ideas there as far as, you know, the name, and then of course the lineage, possible ties to the lineage, because, you know, people seem to make up everything. Like, it's like, you know, that's very specific to this, but I can make it. So you never know really where things come from in this show. But we'd love to know your theories on where these new Uchiha have come from, and of course want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and of course, thanks for watching.